Well, first of all, there's two important factors you've left out. One is we were on a gold standard, which we're not anymore. And number two, people owed us money. We didn't owe them money, which is giant today. Now, what is the answer? Immediate imposition of trade tariffs. And that to be followed by a devaluation and a new dollar based upon gold if the U.S. government still has gold left.
I'll tell you what, can you stay with us for just a couple more minutes? Because I have another question for you I want to pose after we get back from the top of the hour break. You got a couple more minutes?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, cool. Bob Chapman, the international forecaster. We're going to take our top of the hour break. We'll be back in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Hour number 3 of today's Power Hour installment coming right at you. Stay with us. Broadcasting from the most confused, dumb, and monetarily manipulated nation on the face of the planet with the news they hope you never hear. This is the Power Hour. Okay, here we go, folks. Hour number 3 is now in session. We're talking with Bob Chapman. He's agreed to stay on for a couple of more minutes, so we're going to continue. And then after the next break, Attorney Philip Berg, former Assistant Attorney General for the state of Pennsylvania, will join us and give us an update as to what's going on with all of these lawsuits demanding an answer to, to Obama's birth status. But we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. I just posed another question to you, Bob. We were talking about the fact that we had infrastructure, we had family farms that were not under mortgage and all that. You brought up that we were still on the gold standard back in the Great Depression, and I'd like you to continue with that train of thought that you were on, because that's sort of the crux of the problem, isn't it?
It is. When we went off on August the 15th, 1971, we changed the whole structure. The dollar is a reserve unit for the world. And, of course, I mentioned as well as we were a creditor nation during the 30s as opposed to a debtor nation now. And, of course, our debts are 17 trillion plus to foreigners. And so the situation is by a magnitude of 5 or 10 greater than what we were facing in the 1930s. And some $1 trillion or $800 billion stimulus plan is really not the answer. Maybe it's part of the answer, but it's only going to delay the inevitability of collapse. And what they should do is allow the system to slowly deteriorate and purge itself. They shouldn't be bailing out Wall Street and the banks and the insurance companies and General Electric and General Motors. You're
sounding just like Ron Paul, he's been saying, look, we have to let this market correct itself, and we're not going to do it by throwing, by doubling the currency or tripling the currency or just running printing presses 24/7, 365, throwing more gasoline under the fire. So you're basically saying the same thing. We have to let these banks collapse. We have to let these companies go belly up so the market can correct itself. That's what you're saying, right?
Simple, classical economics, as opposed to Keynesianism, and which is what they're doing. And
we've got a lot of listeners out there up in the Detroit area that are not happy when you say that, because, so many jobs and so many businesses are linked to, either directly or indirectly, to the survival of the automotive industry. And if they go down, a lot of folks are going to go down.
The plans were made for the deliberate destruction of the American automobile industry and our manufacturing capabilities in the United States in the early 1960s. The plan went into effect around 1980, and since then you've seen what's happened. And we used to produce 28% of GDP, gross domestic product, in manufactured goods. That's now down to 11%. I don't have to cut you any more pictures. You can see what's been done. And this has been done deliberately in a major way by transnational, international conglomerates. And they're all controlled indirectly and directly by the same group of people. And what they do is they build things offshore or create services offshore, ship them into America, and then the profit goes to an offshore corporation, which in turn holds the money tax-free. Now, occasionally the money comes back to the United States, like it did a few years ago when they had a holiday and $360 billion was brought back by these international corporations at 5.25% taxes instead of 33%. It was another gift to the mega rich, if you may. And so that's why they want to do what they're doing.
Well, I wish we could we could elaborate further, but we're flat out of time. Bob Chapman, is always a pleasure to have you on, and I wish we had good news for the listeners. But you can get his International Forecaster newsletter if you call 877-479-8178 or visit theinternationalforecaster.com. As always, Bob Chapman, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Going to take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.